Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is the telephone game YouTube Pops. If you guys are not familiar with this, it's an awesome game of telephone using scrapbook layouts. This is Jessica's layout. She started off our team. We are the inspiring influencers, and once she made her layout, she passed it to me. And I don't know where her original inspiration came from, if she made this layout herself or she scrap listed something else. I guess I'll find out by watching her layout, which was yesterday, so make sure you watch her layout. I will link it in the description to see how this whole thing got started. But this is the second day and I am up, so I'm just starting out by getting pretty much my backgrounds and the basic layers that she has started with. And then tomorrow you will see Janet's layout, in which I passed her my design, and she will not have seen Jessica's original. She will only have seen mine, and then she will have to interpret it, and so along down the road until we get to the last person and see how it's morphed. It's super fun and interesting if you haven't seen it before. So like I said, just follow along. I'm starting out by getting a frame and my background down. I'm pretty much doing what Jessica did on hers. I am using my How to Kill a Kit with Style, which is Echo Park's Hello Again. I have this photo from when I was working with Cavalia Edicio, and the sun was setting and the sky was just beautiful, and especially when you have the white tents of these circus tents, it just looked so cool. So I thought that this paper in particular just set the mood perfectly. It just looked like a sunset. And I also love that it was polka dots because it was kind of a literal translation from Jessica's layout. She had this yellow polka dot as her frame. So I'm kind of having this orangey yellow polka dot or orangey red polka dot as my background, and then I have this kind of orangey yellow diamond print as my more simplistic monochromatic main layer. There's going to be lots of patterns on here. This is actually the first layout I did using this collection, and I really loved her design because it kind of forced me to cut into a lot of 12 by 12s, which is not something I normally do. But I really wanted to push myself this month with my How to Kill a Kit with Style. Usually when I have limited papers, I'm really stingy about it. I only want to cut into maybe one or two 12 by 12s and use scraps for the rest of it. But this being the first layout of the month, I really wanted to make myself cut into a lot of these papers. That way going forward, I have a lot of scraps to work with already, and I'm not going to be making those pages where it's just like 2 pattern papers and that's it. So there's a lot of pattern going on here. As you will see when I start getting all my papers layered. But I think it's a lot of fun, and it's so different for me because I usually don't have this much different pattern and color on my layouts. So that was a lot of fun. I am just going to matte my photo in some white. I thought about matting it on black. I'm inking everything in black on this page. I love doing that when you have a sunset photo, especially when you're using all these bright colors. I feel like the black really makes the colors pop. So I thought about matting the photo in black. And I think it would have looked nice if I did, but I decided to just go ahead and do white and then ink it in black. Just because I have white tents and there's a couple other things I pull on the page that are white, so I figured it would kind of keep it cohesive. But I do think it would have looked really nice matted in black because that black would have just set off these colors even more. But here I'm going through more of the pattern papers. I gutted the back of this polka dot paper, so you will see that later on in this page. All these patterns are double-sided, which is really nice because every pattern I cut into, I at least get 2 pattern papers out of it instead of just 1. So you'll see me be pulling in both patterns, so that kind of helps me get away with not having to cut into all the pattern papers to get the amount of pattern that I do on here. But I'm trying to follow what Jessica did. She kind of has this square pattern and then a couple layers kind of staggered behind her photo. I love the texture she's put in here. She has one of the layers has a folded over corner. One of the layers has a torn distressed area, and I just loved how those kind of all look together. There's a lot of color and texture and different details, so I really want to pull that in on my layout as well. I did invert her layout, which you will see just the way the tents were kind of angled. I wanted my photo on the left side of the page instead of the right, and in my inspiration Jessica's photo is more on the right, so you'll see I kind of do the mirror image of her design. And kind of flippy flop. If you kind of see our layouts back to back, that's kind of how I decided to tweak it a little bit, just because I felt like my photo was facing more towards the right, so I wanted it on the left side of the page. But here I'm just copying Her photo layers, my proportions are slightly different. I'm trying to figure out, she used a vertical 4x6, I'm using a horizontal 4x6, so I'm trying to tweak things to get them to still fit but still look like they're hers. So you can see how I'm kind of trying to stagger them. This chevron was the B side of the polka dot, so I'm glad I got that pulled in. And then this floral here is the one I want to fold the corner down on, so the back side is that orange geometric heart paper, which I love. So you'll get a little peek of that orange once I fold the corner down, which is nice. That'll kind of bring in the orange of the background. So I'm just trying to get these staggered. The layer that Jessica had torn was the chevron one on my layout, but she had it a little taller. I decided on mine to keep that layout kind of shorter and then use the torn detail on my back layer, which is this minty teal geometric pattern. So I did kind of move around those elements as well, just because my paper proportions were different once I changed the orientation of my photo. So I wanted to make sure those details were still represented, but I did tweak those a little bit. And then here I'm just gutting. This, like I said, is the first layout of this collection, even though I know you're seeing it in like the middle of the month and there would have been pages already posted from earlier in the month me using this collection, but I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to get out of here. So I'm going to gut what I can just for future layouts, because I don't know what all I'll need down the road. But here I am just inking with black this minty paper before I do the torn detail. The back of that is the cut apart, the 3x4 cut apart sheet. So I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't look too distracting when I do the torn detail on there. So you'll see that in a minute. But I'm even gutting this as well, just because I want to make sure I have all these patterns moving forward, since I am cutting into so many 12x12s on this layout. I ended up going through, I think, at least 4 of the 12x12s I cut into for this page, which, like I said, is super different for me. Usually I only like to cut into maybe 2 12x12s and use scraps for the rest of it. But I'm kind of getting this all glued down. I really like how it's coming together. Because I am gutting so many different things, I am just going to mat a couple times on this layout the backs of these layers with black, just so it's all held together a little better. Just because everything is gutted and a little flimsy, so that kind of gives everything more stability. And then on Jessica's layout, she has her layers kind of at a slight angle and slightly goes over the corner of her layout onto the frame, and I really liked that detail. So I decided I wasn't going to tilt it at an angle, but I did want to shift these layers slightly over that edge of that orange so it was sitting on the polka dot. And I really think that adds a lot of interest to the page. Right now, with these papers all just sitting within this orange square, it doesn't look boring, but you'll see once I kind of shift it over the edge, it kind of makes it like, oh, well, that's a little interesting. And I kind of like that little detail. So I'll end up doing that too. As you see here, I just shift it over. Some people might think it looks like an accident, and obviously if you want to scrap lift this, do it however you want, but I will end up having it shifted slightly over the edge, and I think it just adds a cool little twist to it. So now I'm working on the circular elements that Jessica had in hers. She had a pattern paper that was a big circle cut out of it. It was actually the same paper that she has the big frame around, so I'm also going to try and use that polka dot paper for that. I did kind of have a smaller scrap left over since I decided to use that as the chevron layer, so my circle is a little smaller, but because I have my layer stretched out more horizontally with this 4x6 being on the horizontal, I feel like it works out okay. So I'm just doing pretty much what she did. I'm layering the circle over there with a doily, and now I'm trying to figure out some other layers. She has some horizontal bits down on the bottom of her layer. She has some really fun trim. But I decided just to use a branding strip for that detail instead, just to make sure I got at least one of those used up on this page. So that helps pull in that yellowy orange background through that little strip there. And then you see a couple of the cut aparts I have set out to the right there. Jessica has this fun little cluster on the corner of her photo, so I'm definitely wanting to do something similar. And then she has some details in the opposite top corner of the page, so I definitely want to make sure to pull some stuff in there. I'm not quite sure what yet, but I've pulled out these cut aparts because I felt like they kind of coordinated with what I had going already. So I'm hoping I can get some of those used up on this page, but I'm going to go ahead and glue all of this down. I'm pretty happy. This is basically the design that she had other than the embellishment. So now that that's all glued down, I'm kind of going through the sticker sheet and trying to figure out what I can do. Because I did not have the trim on the bottom of the page, I thought it might be cool to have some sort of decorative border on the top. And so the sticker sheet comes with some border stickers, so I decided to go ahead and just use one of them on here as well. So I just tucked that little border strip up at the top there. And then I decided to use this orange geometric heart, which I love so much in this collection, as one of the bits. So I'm just popping that up on some foam, and I think it fits really nicely there in the corner of that minty paper, but I kind of wanted something for it to sit on, so I used that as an opportunity to use up one of these cut aparts. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Okay, just kidding, it went away. Anyways, I'm going through the cut aparts and trying to figure out somewhere for this to sit on. I really like this journaling piece. It was kind of a yellowy orange grid that went with these colors already, so I decided just to tuck that in there and then have the heart kind of sitting at the top of that layer. And then the piece of that cut apart that I wasn't going to use had 5 stars, had a 5-star rating, and I actually thought that was really cute because the sky was so pretty. It was like 5 stars for a sunset. So I decided to tuck that in there as well. I'm already inking in black, so I figured it might be nice if I did throw in some black embellishments. There's a lot of color on here. I don't want to make it too heavy, but I think a little couple black accents here and there will really help the colors pop. So I have that 5-star rating black piece, and then I decided to pull in the best, which was a sticker on the sticker sheet, which was also black, to be my accent in the top right hand corner, to kind of do the same thing Jessica did with her cluster at the top. So that's up on some foam as well. And then I decided I don't know why, there's all these hearts that were kind of the inside of that border piece that I used at the top, and I decided just to run them across the bottom of the page just so that texture was kind of balanced from that border sticker. And that was kind of something I just decided to do offhand, and I just kind of left it. So that's kind of something that wasn't really in Jessica's original that I decided to add because I have the border sticker there at the top. But I think it ends up looking kind of fun, and I'm glad that it kind of balances the border sticker colors and everything. So now I have that down. I'm trying to balance the black here, and I'm kind of wanted something more in the corner by the photo because Jessica really has a lot of like florals and clusters and bows and tassels and a lot of really cute, she has a really adorable embellishment cluster down there. So I wanted to do something to make it a little more than it is now, although I don't have a whole lot to work with, so it's definitely not going to be as layery as hers. But I thought maybe if I could use this cut apart that's in the same floral pattern and trim it into a tag, it'll at least give something. I already have my circular piece, the doily, and these 2 word stickers here, so I think if I kind of tuck this tag in, it'll kind of just make it a little bit more substantial. So I'm just trimming that into a tag, getting my whole reinforcer glued on, and then I'll end up putting some black and white twine through that as well. And I love the look of the black and white twine because it really does pull in more of the black from those 2 other pieces I have on here, because I feel like there just needs to be a little bit more black on here. It's just not substantial enough to hold up to all of this color. So once I have the twine through the tag, I decided it might be nice to have some twine up near the heart as well, so you'll see me do that. But I'm happy with the black little piece that says the best, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that down up there. And Jessica doesn't really have like a title as far as alphas go. She has her title and her text kind of through her embellishment, so I feel like I've already kind of done the same thing with having the best and 5-star rating and you're on my heart and you're the number 1 in my book. I think the photo is kind of self-explanatory. It's a sunset and it's the Cavalier Odisseo tense. So after I added the twine behind the heart, I decided just to do a little bit of journaling to kind of just say sunset at work, and that way I kind of don't need a big title or anything. But I decided just to accent the black even more, I would just do 3 little clusters of some black Nouveau drops. And I think that looks so cute too. I love Nouveau drops, and the black on these colors just it looks so good. But I'm just going to go in with my pen, and like I said, I'm just going to say sunset at work. And I feel like that's all the detail I really need on here. So here are the close-ups here in just a minute. Make sure you follow along to see how this layout changes. I can't wait to see what Janet does tomorrow. Again, I will link her in the description to make sure you follow along, as well as all the other teams, because we're just one team and there are multiple teams doing different layouts. So it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Bye.